developments, the resolve to unilateralism and hard power tools currently dominate the world politics. That's the reality. And we can, in question answer session, or we can discuss the concept of realism versus liberalism, neorealism versus neoliberalism. And I was reading a book recently, Globalization of International Politics. And he has traced the whole history, the recent history of about 200 years. And they have proven that it's all about realism. It's all about realism. In fact, there are two things which could be the two contours which are actually driving the world politics. On one end of the spectrum is power politics. On the other end of the spectrum is interdependence, which we call globalization. So within these two ends of the spectrum, the whole world politics is being played. It's a huge debate, discussion, and I'm sure in the question and answer session this can be discussed. The major power competition is also being outsourced to regional hegemons wherever feasible. These attempts to redefine geography and the so-called, you must have heard, rebalancing and the Indo-Pacific security construct which is in the offing are having its impact on the subcontinent, the South Asia. Under this approach of outsourcing competition to regional takers, the United States led West is supporting Indian conventional and military buildup, while also providing access to advanced nuclear technologies and materials, disregarding the international norms and commitment of non-proliferation regimes. And you can ask me questions about that. We have witnessed over the past decade and a half that any politics or military support the India receives, it tends to use it against Pakistan while presenting itself as a counterweight against China. Pakistan, as a responsible nuclear state, is navigating in this challenging environment to ensure strategic stability in the region. A stable region is our strategic interest, but our eastern neighbor country continues to seek space for war under the overhang of nuclear to supplement its hegemonic designs in the region. And more recently, Hindu nationalism and extremism, supported by the Western patterns, are making India a highly irresponsible nuclear state. And this, if you have carefully followed the events of Pulwama and thereafter, manifested very vividly, explains that. Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, desires strategic stability in South Asia so that it can bring more focus on economic development and social well-being of our citizens. However, Pakistan cannot remain oblivious to this evolving security dynamics generated in our neighborhood and is compelled to take appropriate measures to credibly deter all forms of aggression. Our conduct, nevertheless, is defined by restraint, responsibility, and avoiding an arms race. So these are the three cardinal points of our policy. In this very context, Pakistan nuclear program is not only a guarantor of our defense and sovereignty, but also a credible deterrent against any perceived external misadventure. Our strategic program is a pride of our nation, and it also enormously contributes to socio-economic benefits. We are a confident and responsible nuclear state with comprehensive nuclear safety and security mechanisms in place which are at par with any international best practices. Besides deterrence and its readiness to defend, Pakistan nuclear program is playing a substantial role in the sustainable socio-economic development of Pakistan and achieving the UN-defined sustainable development goals, and of which Ambassador Lakri has given you a glimpse of that, and I'm sure our eminent scholars will give you lot of details with more expertise and better knowledge. As was being told, 6 nuclear power plants and K2, K3, Chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission, former Chairman is sitting here. He'll explain to you if you ask him. With the next generation technologies, with the cost of nuclear technologies we are adopting. 8,800 megawatt 2030, by 2030, that was our plan. And we had an ambitious plan of developing 40,000 megawatt of nuclear clean energy by 2050. We still hold to that. We have ambitions as a sovereign state. We have, alhamdulillah, been able to achieve very ambitious goals, Allah be praised, with the very capable and very hard-working nuclear scientists and engineers we have. So they are our unsung heroes. So I don't mind if you clap for them, honestly. They are the ones who are driving this whole nuclear enterprise. And a few of those unsung heroes are sitting right in front of me. So they are the people. I really admire them always. Hospitals, 18 release हो गए. When I was DGSPD in 2015, तो हमने alhamdulillah National Command and CSA approved करवाया था hospital for Gilgit, and I'm very happy, please personally, कि जो मैंने approve करवाया था, I see that in working and delivering goods to the people of Gilgit, Pakistan. So, Pakistan, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, has extensively worked in developing indigenous capabilities and human resource to sustain our civil nuclear program and other nuclear program as well. It has established state-of-the-art training facilities and institutions which impart high-level education to scientists and engineers, and that form the backbone of our nuclear program. And I will just stop at that because I will leave the rest for eminent speakers to come and explain because they better knowledge than me. Now, I'll actually divert my speech to the young generation. A bit of history and certain realities about the nuclearization of South Asia because the younger generation must know. And when I give you this history and certain realities, I want to make 3 essential points. These 3 essential points we must know as a Pakistan. Number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the reality and the fact of the contemporary world that it was India as a state that violated international non-proliferation norms and commitments. Pakistan has never violated any international agreement and commitment. Challenging for that. This is the first thing I want to take home. Second, it's India that nuclearized South Asia with its revisionist strategic thinking. The sentence I'm speaking very carefully. The revisionist strategic thinking of India nuclearized South Asia. So India is to be blamed for nuclearization of South Asia. Number 2, this was my number 2 point. Number 3 is a very important point. Pakistan as a responsible and restraining nuclear power always restored the strategic balance against Indian irresponsible behavior as a nuclear state, or gave proven history. Challenge me on all these 3 points which I have made, and I will now give you the history to support what I have said. We were a reluctant entrant into the nuclear program. In fact, it was India that conducted its first nuclear test in 1974, if you recall the history. And this they did by diverting nuclear material from a peaceful nuclear program. This was a blatant violation of international non-proliferation commitment by India as a state. This is a very serious thing to happen in the world history. This resulted in to formation of the nuclear supply group to control the nuclear technology proliferation, which India did as a state. Eventually, Pakistan became, so therefore, we had no option but to go nuclear. And Pakistan became an overt nuclear state in response to a series of nuclear tests by India in May 1998. Therefore, thereby restoring the strategic balance in the region. It is important to mention for our youth that before the overt nuclearization of South Asia, Pakistan as a very responsible and restraining state offered and proposed a variety of arms control and confidence building measures to India. And these include establishing a nuclear weapons free zone in South Asia in 1974, a joint declaration of the non-acquisition of or manufacture of nuclear weapons in 1978, and the reciprocal inspection of each other's nuclear facilities was proposed in 1979. As a responsible international player and to comprehensively reap the benefits of the peaceful use of nuclear capabilities, Pakistan offered India to simultaneously sign NPT as non-nuclear weapon states in 1979. We also proposed that both countries should simultaneously accept IAEA full scope safeguards that could discourage both countries' pursuits of weapons. And to reduce nuclear risk and avoid nuclearization, we proposed a bilateral treaty banning nuclear tests in 1988 and a South Asia zero missile zone in 1994. And after nuclearization, Pakistan proposed India to negotiate an all-encompassing strategic restraint regime in 1998, which is still on the table. And more recently, in 2016, when I was DGSPD, we offered India to let's bilaterally undertake moratorium on future nuclear tests, because we already, as a state individually, voluntarily, we have undertaken moratorium on the nuclear tests. Unfortunately, all such proposals were never responded positively by India. And still, India is not keen for any such arms control measure or stability in the region. India rather is more focused on arms buildup and chooses to follow war-fighting doctrines in the quest of prestige and digital hegemony. So, this was a bit of history just to tell you the realities of nuclearization of South Asia. Now, before I leave the rostrum, I want to make 4 concluding remarks. My first concluding remark is that in the face of growing Indian military capability and aggressive doctrines, Pakistan has no choice but to take countermeasures to any attempt by India of creating imbalance in the region and launch a military pressure. As a responsible nuclear weapon state, Pakistan seeks strategic stability and should maintain full spectrum deterrence while remaining open to exploring bilateral arms control mechanisms with India to reduce nuclear risk and prevent war. My second remark is that Pakistan is a peace-loving country and by no means do we have any vision to indulge in any arms race. However, the credibility of our deterrence at minimum level of the armaments is imperative for our national survival and security. Under no circumstance, Pakistan shall ever compromise on the strategic capabilities in any form. Commitment of people of Pakistan to this cause is rock solid. In fact, the world should seriously worry about India's fastest growing nuclear program and weapons, with nuclear command and control now in the hands of Hindu extremist leadership. That should be the reality. My third concluding remark is that Alhamdulillah, we have a very capable and mature indigenous nuclear enterprise. The nuclear technology is playing an important role in our socio-economic development and is strategically significant for our future. In spite of the discriminatory behavior of international community led by the United States for access to advanced nuclear technology for peaceful purposes, which is our sovereign right, Pakistan is pursuing its socio-economic development goals by enhancing its indigenous nuclear capabilities for the well-being of our citizens. And my last concluding remark is that Pakistan wants peace internally and externally. For that, Pakistan has always been working for the resolution of all outstanding disputes, including the core dispute of Jammu and Kashmir according to UN Security Council resolutions. It's time that India should change its strategic thinking of managing Kashmir conflict through military means within Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir and by military and diplomatic coercion outside. This strategic approach of India, with its irresponsible behavior as a nuclear state during a crisis, which we all saw after Pulwama, is a recipe for disaster. US interests should demand India to create an enabling environment for resolution of disputes, for enduring peace and stability in the region. So with that, gentlemen, I would conclude my small, brief speech. And I really thank you for very patiently hearing me. And with the permission of Chair, he has allowed me very kindly that I may take a few questions without disturbing the overall time frame. I hope the Vice Chancellor will allow us, Dr. Sir, with your permission. So I am open to questions if you wish to ask me, but I will be otherwise also available during the seminar. So the house is open for questions. I have said a lot of things, and my whole statements were very loaded statements. So I am expecting a lot of, good questions.
Excuse me. I have some sound.
Yes, sir.
There should have been a mic, I think. My name is
some sound, okay?